It's not shocking that he got censured. That's not shocking. We all knew he had to get censured. You can't wave a stick like an idiot and scream and yell at the president of the United States in a Republican-held Congress and not get censured? Duh. No, that's not the shocking thing at all. That's not what shocks me about this whole Al Green. I'll tell you what shocks me about this whole Al Green thing. Well, you know what? I'll tell you what shocks me about this whole Al Green thing in just a minute. First, though, I got to say welcome to Mark Kaye Saves the Republic. Thanks so much for being here. Don't forget to subscribe. If you're watching on the YouTube, if you're watching on Rumble, wherever you happen to be watching, here's what I want you to do. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification. Notification? What? Wait, what? I'm sorry. I'm gonna need the judge's ruling on notification. I feel like I'm Al Green. Notification. You ain't got no mandate. You ain't got no notification. No, I'm sorry, but where was I? Oh yeah. So anyway, Al Green got censured. That's not what surprises me. That's not what surprises me at all. And we'll get to that in a minute. Don't forget, if you're listening to the podcast, also subscribe, let iTunes know, let the Spotify. I'm having trouble today, folks. It's been a very busy week. It's been a very busy week so far. Don't forget, Tuesday night was this Donald Trump speech. It seems like so long ago because so much has happened since then. Donald Trump, and also the speech was really long. It was one of the longest speeches ever given. I think Donald Trump actually broke Bill Clinton's record for one of the longest speeches, but it didn't seem long at all. It seemed amazing. It was amazing. That's why it seemed amazing. But it didn't seem, it just, it was like Titanic. Like you blink and all of a sudden 3 hours and wow, I didn't even feel it. The first time. After the second time you see Titanic, it gets a little, you're like, all right, I know, never let go and throw the thing in the ocean and we're good to go. But Donald Trump's speech was on Tuesday. And then yesterday we had our Dollars for Followers masterclass, which was amazing. But guess what? Went long. It was supposed to be 1 hour. It was 2. It started at 8 p.m. It ended right before 10 o'clock. And I had to shut myself up. I was like, oh my gosh, guys, I've been going for 2 hours. I apologize. And people are like, no, keep going. And I was like, well, I got to go to bed because we've got, there's other stuff going on. But it was so much fun. We're going to do it again. We're going to do it again. If you want, I haven't put the link up yet, but I think we're going to, we did it on Wednesday, March the 5th, which was yesterday. I think we're going to do it next week as well. So if you're interested in joining us for the next Dollars for Followers masterclass, where you can learn how to make $1 for every follower you have, go to dollarsforfollowers.com and sign up, because it was everybody who was there. We had like 40, 50 people there, and they all loved it. It was amazing. And I enjoyed it myself, and I knew what was going to happen. And I still was like, wow, that was so much fun. That's going to happen next Wednesday. Like I said, next Wednesday, which I believe is March the 12th. If I have my calendar in my head correct. Yeah, that's exactly right. Go to dollarsforfollowers.com. I don't have it in the description of the video today, but you'll find it. You're smart people. In the meantime, not only was there a censure of Al Green moments ago in the House of Representatives, but the fallout from this ridiculous Democrat reaction to Donald Trump's speech continues. And it continues on the news media. It continues on the social media. It continues on TikTok. In fact, I want to play, I don't know if you're on the TikTok, but I want to play this woman, because this woman is everybody's spirit animal right about now.
I voted for Democrats my whole life.
Okay, she's only everyone's spirit's animal if you voted for Democrats your whole life. I've never voted for a Democrat. Well, that's not true. I voted for Michael Steele when he was a Republican. Now he's basically a Democrat. Anyway, I digress.
I voted for Democrats my whole life. They never did anything they promised. They would come to the black church and sing some Negro spirituals with us and then disappear, peer. Once they got our vote, they never did anything they promised. I vote for a Republican once in my life, and this dude done did everything he promised on steroids. He ain't even been in office 2 months, and everything I voted for, I'm getting. It's amazing. Do he sleep? Like, this dude, if he sleeps, he wake up on a mission to do what Nakia voted for. He said, Nakia want me to fix that border. I'm on it. Nakia want to make sure them tax dollars is being spent for Americans more than anybody else. I'm on it. Like, this dude wakes up. I feel like with me in mind, you know what I'm saying? I feel like he be thinking about me. It's like being at the casino. You put in that Democrat coin, you put it in and you pull the thing and no, you gonna win. You gonna win. You put in another Democrat coin and you pull the thing and no, you didn't win. You put in that Republican coin. I put in a Republican coin for the first time. Pulled the ding, 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 ding. I freaking won. Wow. So you know what that tells me?
Uh-huh.
That tells me to never vote for Democrats again in life. Ever. Because you're not going to win with them. I voted for a Republican once. And hit the jackpot, honey. I will continue to do that again and again and
again. That is Nakia Dion. And fun fact, I went on TikTok to follow her and she follows me. So I followed her back and I'm gonna wave to her and be like, she's amazing. I got to get her on the show. Hey, exclamation point. I loved the video that I saw on X period. Can you come on my show sometime? Question mark. Because look, we love talking to our Congress people. We love talking to senators. We love talking to Lara Trump and everyone else in the Trump family. But sometimes you just want to get a real person on here and talk about what's going on in this country. And that was right about that. Not only, first of all, very accurate. Very accurate. I voted for Democrats my whole life. They would come and sing Negro spirituals, which is true. And you know what? We actually have evidence of that. Let's go to the censure vote for one Al Green. Al Green, now you may remember, in fact, I found it and then I lost it and then I think I found it again. Al Green was, let me play you again what happened during just to recap, just so we're all on the same page. This was Al Green yelling at President Donald Trump, acting the fool, as they say, during the quote-unquote joint address to Congress.
Won the popular vote by big numbers and won counties in our country.
Yeah, and that was right before he was thrown out. And then what happened was Mike Johnson said, okay, that's it. I gave you a warning. Now you're out of here.
Mr. Green, take your seat. Take your seat, sir. Take your seat. Finding that members continue to engage in willful and concerted disruption of proper decorum, the chair now directs the Sergeant-at-Arms to restore order. Remove this gentleman from the chamber.
And then they came and they threw him out, and then he started singing. They started singing, na 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 na, hey, goodbye. There was a speech that Al Green gave about how Donald Trump doesn't have a mandate, and I had it and I lost it, and I'm gonna try to find it again. But basically, that's what happened. That's what happened 2 days ago during Donald Trump's speech to Congress. And then what happened next was everyone was like, "Look, you can't get away. You can't do that. You can't yell and scream at the president and expect to get away with it." So what they did was they voted on a censure, and today they voted on the, I guess, articles of censure or the whatever, we have to move forward with the censure. And then today around 10 o'clock, they all got to work and they all voted. And here was the result of today's censure vote in the House of Representatives.
Is that he will call Congressman Green to the well. Oh, there we go. Let's listen in.
To answering present. The resolution is adopted. Without objection, a motion to reconsider is laid on the table. The House will come to order. The House will come to order.
All right, now watch. This is where it gets exciting. He's supposed to come to the well and get censured.
Green present himself to the well.
And so he comes down to the well, and guess what? All the Democrats come with him because that's what they do. They all move it. They're like the mean girls in school.
By its adoption of House Resolution 189, the House has resolved that Representative Al Green be censured, that Representative Al Green forthwith present himself in the well of the House of Representatives for the pronouncement of censure, and that Representative Al Green be censured with public reading of this resolution by the Speaker.
They're singing. They're singing "We Shall Overcome." They're going to get censured again. Censure them again.
The House has come to order. The House has come to order. What's that?
You want to let him keep doing this, or totally fair?
And here he is. He's like, "What do we do? Do we let him keep? What do we do?"
The House has come to order. Clear the well, please. Clear the well. The
Get
House
out,
has
everybody.
to continue its business.
And if you want to declare a recess, you can do that too.
This is this is their nonviolent protest. Oh, then they turn off the microphones. Here we go.
Pursuant to Clause 12A of Rule 1, the House will stand in recess, subject to the call of the chair.
Yeah. So he had to. That's their civil disobedience for the day. That's they're denying Mike Johnson's orders, or they're disregarding Mike Johnson's orders to clear the well. Get out! Stop that singing. It's like it's like how the Grinch Stole Christmas. All the Who's down in Whoville, the tall and the small. Those Who's gathered round, and those Who's started singing. And that's what they did. They sang "We Shall Overcome" while Al Green was getting censured by the House of Representatives. Now, the interesting thing about this was the vote. And if you remember, it was 224 to 128, which means that there were Democrats, 10 of them, double-digit Democrats, who voted to censure Al Green. And you might be wondering, who are those 10 Democrats who voted to censure one of their own? Because typically the Democrats, man, they are like the Borg. You know, they are one mind. They are like, must do, same thing, must not step out of line. What Nancy Pelosi wants, I will do, or implode. That's basically what has been for the last couple decades. Nancy Pelosi calls the shots. Everybody steps in line. Everyone falls in line. Everyone does what they're said. If they don't vote the way Nancy Pelosi wants, boom, they're gone. If you don't believe me, just ask the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. Now, she's doing okay for herself, but she had to leave the House of Representatives because she was targeted by Nancy Pelosi. They went after her, and she then switched parties. Now she's a Republican, and she's doing a great job working for President Donald Trump. In fact, she was at the border yesterday with Pete Hegseth and the Vice President, and we'll bring you some of that here in just a minute. But here's what we got. Representative Barra from California, Representative Case from Hawaii, Representative Costa from California, Gillen from New York, Himes from Connecticut, Houlihan from Pennsylvania, Captor from Ohio, Moskowitz from Florida, Perez from Washington, and Susie from New York. If you don't remember those names, don't worry, I'm going to make a list. They're going to be gone. These people will not survive another 4 years in the Congress because they voted to censure one of their own, and that is a no-no in the Democrat Party. It doesn't matter. You could have had one of your own, I don't know, drive off of a bridge with a girl in the car and she drowns and he flees the scene. Wait, that actually happened. I was trying to come up with an example out of my head. I was like, wait a minute, is that from a movie? Oh no, that was Ted Kennedy. And it doesn't matter. The Democrats will always protect their own. The Republicans don't do that. They throw people out. They throw their own people out of Congress. They attack their own people. They bring up ethics violations. They're just the worst. But the Democrats protect their own. And they're protecting Al Green. At least 10 of them were not, but everyone else was. And that's going to be an issue for them moving forward. Now, if you there was one guy who was what's his name? He was talking about how this is ridiculous and it's virtue signaling by the Republicans. A Democrat accusing Republicans of virtue signaling. Keep in mind, this is the party that just gathered in the well of Congress to sing "We Shall Overcome," and this guy's saying Republicans virtue signal.
Is that he will call Congress?
That's not it. Hang on. I got it right here.
Mr. Speaker, I just want to say
Jim McGovern, pardon me.
The virtue signaling we're seeing from Republicans right now is insane. I'm sorry. Who was it who yelled, "You lie," at President Obama during his address? A Republican. Who was it that heckled President Biden, standing up and ranting like lunatics? Republicans. Go back and look at the videos. It was embarrassing. And nothing was done about that.
Okay, this isn't heckling. This isn't saying you lie. This is a man standing up, yelling and screaming, waving a weapon at the president of the United States. And if you don't think a cane's not a weapon, you've clearly never been hit by a cane. let me tell you that. You've never. I mean, this is a threat. What Al Green did was not equivalent to somebody saying you lie. Or Justice Alito mouthing, that's not true. Or even Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert. Yes, they acted a little bit crazy, but they weren't threatening. Here's Al Green calling the president a liar to his face, waving the cane around. And the Republicans said, we're going to censure you. And the Democrats said, at least 10 of them did, yeah, you know what? We think that's a good idea. We think that's a really good idea. So we're going to join you. And I think that was eye-opening to a lot of these Democrats. Now, I like to go right to the source. I like to go right to the inside. And I like to talk to somebody who was there, who witnessed it with his own two eyes. And of course, I'm talking about Tennessee Representative Tim Burchett, a.k.a. Representative Slingblade, with the full report from this morning's Censure Vote.
Hey everybody, Tim Burchett. Two bills on the floor today. A lot of fireworks going on, censuring Al Green. One of them was removes, they have to do these reports. They have to do marine archaeological reports. They're incredibly expensive when they do offshore drilling. And you see what happens with these reports. They employ a lot of people, and we've got raiders of the Lost Ark warehouses full of these dadgum reports. So I supported that. We don't need to be doing that. And the other one, of course, censoring Al Green, I supported that. It doesn't do anything. He stands in the well, they read it, and then a bunch of radical liberals start screaming and singing and doing their thing, and then we get lectured on by a group of people that would not stand for a little boy who has cancer, a brave American who shielded his wife and daughter from an assassin's bullet, who lost his life, and freed hostages in Gaza. What they do stand for is transgender surgery and things like that. That is what the Democrat Party has evolved into. So, another day in paradise. Thank y'all for sending me.
I mean, come on. That's look. Hey, man, I voted for Tim. I like the way you talk. I voted to censure Al Green. It's stupid. Ain't nothing gonna happen. They're gonna put him in the well, and then a bunch of crazy left-wing liberals, lunatics, is gonna scream and yell and sing spirituals. That's exactly what happened. That's the best summation. And then they got these naval reports. These naval reports, by the way, he's absolutely right. And I know for a fact, because fun fact, my brother-in-law works for the Department of the Navy, and he's one of the guys that goes out and has to do these naval reports. And if you want to build anywhere near any body of water, not just the ocean, not just a lake, not just a river, not just an estuary, which I don't even know what an estuary is, but if you want to build near one of them, you have to have the Department of the Navy come out, and they have to do some kind of land, what do you call it? Like when you do they do the land, the whole survey. They've got to take soil samples. They've got to talk to you. Elon Musk had a great bit about this the other day, and it just goes to show how ridiculous these things are. Hold on. Elon Musk, somebody said it was like a comedy routine, and I never pulled it, but I want to play it for you because this is it right here. This is Elon Musk talking about how horrible these environmental regulations can be for any and all businesses. And this is exactly what Tim Burchett was just talking about. This is the federal government and the hoops they make people go through to do their jobs.
I mean, I got a bunch of sort of nutty stories, some of them are, I guess, kind of funny. There's, we had to do this, SpaceX had to do the study to see if Starship would hit a shark. And I'm like, it's a big ocean, there's a lot of sharks. It's not impossible, but it's very unlikely. And I said, well, you have to, this is, I think, from National Marine Fisheries, one of the, NIMF it's called. They were like, well, you have to do the study on whether you're going to hit a shark. We're like, what? And then we said, okay, fine, we'll do the analysis. And then, well, can you give us the shark data? They're like, no, we can't give you the shark data. We're like, okay, well, then we're in a bit of a quandary. How do we solve this this shark probability issue? And they said, well, we could give it to our Western division, but we don't trust them. And I'm like, am I in a comedy sketch here? And then, like they're worried about the shark density data, like the people who hunt sharks for shark fins somehow getting their hands on the shark data. And so eventually, I think we got the data, and we could run the analysis to say, like, yeah, the sharks are going to be fine. But they wouldn't let us proceed with launch until we did this crazy shark data. And then we thought, okay, now we're done. And they said, but what about whales? I'm like, when you look at a picture of the Pacific, what percentage of the surface area of the Pacific do you see as whale? Because look at a picture, I don't see any. It's like, you can't. Where's the whale? And honestly, if the ship did hit a whale, it's like, honestly, that whale had it coming, because it's like the odds are so low.
Yeah. I mean, that's basically, that's Elon Musk doing a little stand-up comedy. Yeah, they told us that we needed to figure out if our rockets were going to hit sharks on re-entry. And we're like, what? I mean, how many sharks? Give us the shark data. They're like, we can't. We can't give you the shark data so that you can run your report that you're required to run before you can shoot your rockets into space and have them splash down in the ocean. And he's like, this is ridiculous. And that's the government for you. And Tim Burchett saying they got warehouse after warehouse after warehouse filled with this crap. And I voted it down, voted against it. I said, we don't need it. And he's absolutely right. They don't need it. It's unnecessary. It's the kind of bureaucratic garbage. It's the kind of regulatory stuff that really hinders the business of America. One of the reasons your eggs, by the way, are so daggum, to quote Tim Burchett, eggs are so daggum expensive. I'll tell you why. In fact, I won't even tell you why. You know, I'll have Brooke Collins tell you why, because Brooke Collins was being interviewed on something or other, and they asked her about the eggs. Oh, it was Chris Cuomo. What is he, on News Nation or something? I don't even know where Chris Cuomo is. Chris Cuomo, he pops up on my feed every now and then. Chris Cuomo's, doing this, yelling about that, crying about this. His brother's going to run for office, mayor or something. So Chris Cuomo's out there, and he's like, what's up with the egg prices? Why doesn't Donald Trump bring down the egg prices? Here's what Brooke Rollins said. Listen to this.
We're talking about the high price of eggs, and I want to show your viewers this chart. So you'll see here that this is 40 years of egg prices, right? 40 years. The blue is Obama, the first Obama term. The red, you'll see that prices of eggs go up. The red, the prices go back down. That's under President Trump the last time. And then the blue is when they skyrocketed. So certainly avian flu has a lot to do with it, but it's also the high cost of inputs, the unbelievable amount of regulation, the shutting down of our export markets. We have a $49 billion deficit in our ag products since Joe Biden took office. Do you know how much of a deficit we had under President Trump when we left? Zero. So there's a lot more that goes into this than just the avian flu, and we're working really hard to address it.
Okay, so you can blame the murdering of all the chickens, but that's not the only reason. There's over-regulation. There's gas prices. Remember, these eggs have to get to the store somehow, and those gas prices have gone up. So there's just a ton of reasons why your eggs are expensive, and all of them point back to Joe Biden. None of them point back to Donald Trump. And if you look at the historical data, Donald Trump's economic policies, Donald Trump's agricultural policies, all of Donald Trump's policies pointed to America was great, things were cheap, you had more money, and you felt safe. And all of Joe Biden and Barack Obama's policies were everything's expensive, the government's stealing and wasting your money, the border's unsafe, you're going to get killed, everyone's going to die, and the Democrats don't care as long as they get money for Ukraine. That's basically the difference between the two. And that is why Nakia is so thrilled that she finally voted for a Republican.
I voted for Democrats my whole life. They never did anything they promised. They would come to the black church and sing some Negro spirituals with us and then disappear, peer. Once they got our vote.
Yeah.
They never did anything they promised.
Never.
I vote for a Republican once in my life, and this dude done did everything he promised. On steroids.
He did everything he promised, and he did it on steroids. He doesn't sleep. He doesn't eat. He just works. He does what he said he was going to do. And that's why a lot of Americans, in fact, the majority of Americans, appreciate what he did, appreciate what he's doing, loved his speech, hated the Democrats, don't like the way the Democrats are acting, and will probably vote more of them out of office come 2026.
Frankly, it's very refreshing, and everybody in this room should be very grateful that we have a president who tells the truth about the reality of the economic situation that we are in, unlike the previous president who lied to everybody's faces, saying inflation was transitory, saying it was under control, saying that the border was secure when none of that was true. So the president is being frank and honest, and the American people elected this president to have monumental reform and change, including rebuilding our manufacturing base in this country, standing up to foreign nations who have been ripping off our country for decades. And that requires a little bit of disruption. That requires a lot of effort and work that this president is focused on doing. With that said, as the president said last night, his administration is wholeheartedly committed, of course, to ending the inflation nightmare caused by the Biden administration. Look at the deregulation efforts. Look at the president's push last night in his speech for Congress to pass tax cuts, to end taxes on Social Security and overtime pay for hardworking Americans, end taxes on tips. We need Congress to get that done because that's going to put more money back into the pockets of the American people. And I didn't even mention energy. Look at the president's approach and focus on unleashing the might of our energy industry. We know that's the #1 driver of inflation. He's been slashing back a lot of the burdensome regulation from the previous administration to unleash our energy industry here at home, which will drive down costs. He said he is committed to making America affordable again. He did it in his first term, and Americans can trust him to do it again.
Yeah, and that's why, and it's there. You can't trust Democrats to do anything. There's nothing that a Democrat can do that is good for anybody. All the Democrats, especially now that the Democrats are floundering around, now that they have literally no idea what to do, now that they have no idea how to handle life. They really have no idea how to handle life, and their spokespeople are the worst. Jasmine Crockett, I can't even play you what she said. Jasmine Crockett is the face of the Democrat Party. She is angry. She is bitter. She is uncouth. She is profane. She is vile. She curses over and over again. I didn't even have time to edit. Oh, I would have played the clip. Yesterday, we played a clip from her. I had to bleep out an F word. Today, there were like multiple S words. I was like, I don't have time. I do not have time to share with you all of this cursing. But this is who the Democrat Party's become. They are doubling down on the lowest possible denominator.
This is not what we should be doing. I don't even know why we fighting with Greenland. Why we fighting with Greenland? We fighting with Canada. We fighting with Mexico. Yet we in love with Putin. What is happening? Like, this is not America. This is a terrible nightmare. Somebody slap me and wake me the f up because I'm ready to get on with it. And
there's this guy with the microphone just, appeasing. Look, somebody slap her. Wake her the you-know-what up. That's what she's asking for. This is the face. Look at it. There it is. That's the Democrat Party. That's who they've adopted. That's who they're voting for. That's who they're putting in office. And if it's not Jasmine Crockett, it's Al Green. This is the other face of the Democrat Party.
Won the popular vote by big numbers and won counties in our country.
Look at that. There you go. The Democrat Party. And by the way, both of these people are from Houston, Texas. So I don't know what's up with Houston. But this is the face of the Democrat Party. Jasmine Crockett, who curses and screams and yells and is foul and walks out. And Al Green, who stands up in the middle of the president's speech when it's not his turn to talk and screams and yells and waves a cane. That's not something Americans are going to be voting for en masse. That's not something that Americans are going to be proud to support. And in fact, Democrats aren't even proud to support that because, as I just said, the censure vote came through. And guess what? 10, not one. This wasn't like when Thomas Massie votes against the budget because he's protesting it. And they know Thomas Massie's going to vote against the budget. So they're like, fine, we need everybody else to vote for the budget so Thomas Massie can have his vote. And they go to Chip Roy, and then Chip Roy's like, fine. And they go to Tim Burchett, and they go to Nancy Mace, and they all go, fine, we'll vote for it. Let Thomas Massie have his, his wife died. We feel bad for him. Let Thomas Massie have his vote. So it's not like that. It's not 1 or 2 or 3. It's 10. There are more Democrats. Think about this. More Democrats voted to censure Al Green than Republicans voted to kick out, and what's the name? Kevin McCarthy. Kevin McCarthy was removed as the House Speaker by all the Democrats and 8 Republicans. 8 Republicans, Matt Gaetz, Tim Burchett again, Nancy Mace, 8 Republicans crossed the aisle and said, this guy's got to go. But with this censure, you had 10 Democrats say this is unacceptable behavior. It's really, and it is unacceptable behavior. And Caroline Leavitt kicked off her press conference yesterday by saying, this is unacceptable behavior.
So I gave a quote to one of the media outlets in this room yesterday that Democrats behaving like children would be the least surprising thing of the night. And unfortunately, that quote did turn out to be true. I think the president and everyone, frankly, was surprised by the Democrats refusing to stand for not the president's policies, because frankly, we expected that, but for the everyday Americans who President Trump was shining a light on their stories. Mark Fogel, for instance, an American school teacher who was detained by the Russians. President Trump freed him. If Joe Biden had done that, they all would have been on their feet. But because of it what came from President Trump, they weren't. So we think it's very sad, but we're very proud of the president today. And the American people are the people that this president cares about most, and the reviews are in, and everybody loved his speech.
Yeah, so that's basically the consensus of the entire world, not just the Republicans, not just Americans, but everybody watching was like, wow, that was ridiculous. And Donald Trump is going to continue to deliver on his promises. He's going to continue to talk tough. And in fact, Donald Trump yesterday, he released a statement, which I've heard him angry, but this is a statement like we've never heard before. At least it's been a while since he's been this angry. Let me read this to you. This was about Hamas. After the joint session of Congress, he met with a group of freed prisoners. These were people that had been taken prisoner by Hamas. They'd been kidnapped. They'd been put through hell for years. They were finally released. They were emaciated. Many of them were permanently injured, mentally scarred their lives are, he said, your lives have basically been ruined. And so Donald Trump said, that's it. We're done. No more Hamas. Hamas is over, party. He posted on Truth Social, Shalom Hamas means hello and goodbye. You can choose. Release all of the hostages now, not later, and immediately return all of the dead bodies of the people you murdered, or it is over for you. Only sick and twisted people keep bodies, and you are sick and twisted. I am sending Israel everything it needs to finish the job. Not a single Hamas member will be safe if you don't do as I say. I've just met with your former hostages whose lives you have destroyed. This is your last warning for the leadership. Now is the time to leave Gaza while you still have a chance. Also, to the people of Gaza, a beautiful future awaits, but not if you hold hostages. If you do, you are dead. Make a smart decision. Release the hostages now, or there will be hell to pay later. And then he signed it. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States. That's an angry man right there. That's an angry man. That's a man who said, I told you to release the hostages by January 20th, and you gave us like 2. And then I said, look, I'm giving it to Israel. Then you gave us 2 more. Then you brought out the bodies of the dead woman and her 2 babies, and you paraded them around, and that was just sick. And now I'm sitting down and I'm talking to these people, and I'm hearing what you're doing, and that's it. You've got till now to end this. You've got till now to release the hostages. And if you don't, you will be destroyed. I have given Israel everything it needs to finish the job. Not a single Hamas member will be safe. And if you are a leader of Gaza, leave Gaza. Pack it up, man. Pack it up. This is Donald. We knew this was Donald Trump's message when Bibi Netanyahu came to the United States of America and met with him. He said, we are going to clear out Gaza one way or the other. We are going to end Hamas. That has always been the goal. And now Donald Trump he's saying enough is enough. He's saying enough is enough. And so now we're going to probably see some fireworks in the Middle East. And it's not going to be pretty for the Gazans or Hamas. And when it's cleared out, then Donald Trump can go in and he can build Gaza America with all the casinos and the gold buildings and the pools and all the statues and all the things we saw in that great AI generated video. I'm excited, by the way. I'm still really excited for the new Gaza because the old Gaza, never been there, never really wanted to go, but have a feeling that the new Gaza is going to kick its booty for sure. Speaking of kicking booty, Donald Trump has And again, it's always interesting. And by interesting, I mean totally disgusting, stupid, and predictable to see how the fake news media reacts to the deals that he makes with respect to Canada and Mexico and these tariffs and fentanyl and all that kind of stuff. And I'm going to tell you all about that here in just a minute. First, though, I do want to say, hey, you know what? Mark Kaye Saves the Republic, the podcast you're listening to right now, is I feel, we're growing every single day. Every day we have more people watching on YouTube and Rumble. We have more people downloading on iTunes and Spotify, and we have more and more interest from advertisers and sponsors. And we do need to thank them because they're the reason why, I don't have to go out and drive Uber or dig ditches or do anything else. I can sit here and yell about politics and tell you everything that's going on. And so we really do appreciate our sponsors more than you could know. And as a result, we would love for you to hear a little bit about what they do, not just to help the show, but to help you. And one of them is Colonial Metals Group. Colonial Metals Group, our good buddy Paul Stone, he's been a guest on the show so many times. He's so great. We're going to have him back again. But Paul Stone has started Colonial Metals Group as a way for average Americans to bulletproof their savings, because your savings is not bulletproof, especially if it's in a traditional IRA or 401k. Gold and silver and precious metals is a much more secure investment for you and your long-term financial stability. And so what Paul Stone and Colonial Metals Group has done is they put together a free gold guide. It looks like this. It says 2025, the complete guide to gold and silver, and it's free. You fill out this form on their website, freegoldguide.com/K, Kaye, freegoldguide.com/K, and you can get all this information about how to protect and grow your retirement. Plus, if you open an account, unlimited time offer, there's a limited time offer in qualifying accounts up to $7,500 in free bonus silver. Hot dog. Go to freegoldguide.com/Kaye. And there's nothing, all it is a free gold guide. You can read about it. Maybe it's for you, maybe it's not, but I trust me, it's going to be for you if you read about it, because you're going to want to protect your assets for a very, very long time to come. So Donald Trump, he slaps these tariffs on Canada. He slaps the tariffs on Mexico, and everybody freaks out. And Governor Trudeau's all like, oh, you're starting a trade war, eh? We're going to take the bourbon off the shelves, eh? And what people don't realize is this is not a trade war. This is about keeping Americans safe. And Howard Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary, in a very excited and passionate fashion, tried to explain that to people yesterday.
You are our greatest trading partners, Canada and Mexico, right? If we are so important to you, why is the border wide open? Why do we have to build a wall? Why aren't you building a wall? Why aren't you respecting America? Why do you think it's okay to disrespect America? So what they did is they disrespected America. They had caravans coming in from Mexico. They had visas just flying off the shelf from Canada, and every criminal in the world and terrorist coming in through Canada. And the president said, I've had enough. You guys are totally disrespectful, and I'm going to teach you a bit of respect. So he says, tariffs. Then they say, hold on. We'll start to respect you. And they start doing work. Then Mexico calls and says, I'll put 10,000 troops on the border. And the Canadians say, I'll put 10,000 troops on the border. And he said, if you're going to stop it, I'll give you 30 days to stop it. Show me what you can do for 30 days. But does that sound a foot off the gas? That sounds like a foot on the chest.
Okay? A foot on the chest is what Donna, he put a foot on the chest and he said, hey, Governor Trudeau, this ends now. The other thing, Donald Trump, look, he's not letting up on Canada, and he loves to publicly berate Governor Trudeau. But he yesterday said he posted something online about where is it? Hang on, Trump, Canada. He posted online yesterday about his conversation with. Here we go. Oh no, that's Scheinbaum. We'll get to that in a minute. He spoke with Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Here it is. Justin Trudeau of Canada called me to ask what could be done about tariffs. I told him that many people have died from fentanyl that came through the borders of Canada and Mexico, and nothing has convinced me that it has stopped. He said that it's gotten better, but I said that's not good enough. The call ended in a somewhat friendly manner. He was unable to tell me when the Canadian election is taking place, which made me curious, like, what's going on here? This is Donald Trump, by the way, his actual words, which made me curious, like, what's going on here? I then realized he is trying to use this issue to stay in power. Good luck, Justin. Now, Justin Trudeau, there is going to be an election, we assume, sometime. I know Pierre Poilievre and the girl that reminds me of Samantha Bee, I forget her name. They're both running. They both want to lead the country. They both want to be the new prime minister. I don't know why. It's a thankless job, and it seems like a big waste of everyone's time. But they want to be the next governor of the 51st state. And Donald Trump is now coming to the realization that Governor Trudeau may be using this fentanyl problem, maybe using the tariffs, maybe using this quote unquote trade war as a ploy to try and stay in power, to try to convince his people that he's the only man for the job and that he can stand up to Donald Trump. And Donald Trump is wise to that. Donald Trump's like, you know what? I see what you're doing here. You're talking tough and you're moving things along and you're slacking and lollygagging because you think that you can leverage this to your benefit. That while Americans are dying from fentanyl and while you're not doing enough to stop it, you can use the death of Americans to remain in power. Canada's had enough, by the way. I can tell you firsthand. I have relatives there and they are not going to stick around with they're not going to stick around with Justin Trudeau any longer than they have to. Donald Trump today spoke with President Claudia Sheinbaum of Mexico, and he wrote, "I have agreed that Mexico will not be required to pay tariffs on anything that falls under the USMCA agreement. This agreement is until April 2nd. I did this as an accommodation and out of respect for President Sheinbaum. Our relationship has been a very good one, and we are working hard together on the border, both in terms of stopping illegal aliens from entering the United States and likewise stopping fentanyl. Thank you to President Sheinbaum for your hard work and cooperation." So Donald Trump, once again, negotiating openly and honestly with both President Sheinbaum and Prime Minister Trudeau. And he also posted this 40 minutes ago. "Believe it or not, despite the terrible job he's done for Canada, I think that Justin Trudeau is using the tariff problem, which he has largely caused, in order to run again for prime minister. So much fun to watch." So what you have here is Donald Trump. I mean, it's really interesting. And this is what Donald Trump does. This is how he negotiates. This is how you'll see it back to back in these two posts, 40 minutes apart. Donald Trump has basically admonished Justin Trudeau again and belittled one ally to our north and shown respect for and accommodation to another one. And what this does is it exacerbates it basically singles out Canada. So Donald Trump is like, look, Mexico clearly has done more for this problem than we have. Mexico is clearly working harder than Canada is. So, all right, we'll take these tariffs off of Mexico, and Canada still got them. And now what it is instead of 2 against 1, Mexico and Canada against the United States, Donald Trump has shifted the alliance. And now it's 2 against 1, Mexico and Donald Trump against Canada. Because if Justin Trudeau calls up Claudia Sheinbaum and says, "Claudia, how'd you get him to do it, eh? These tariffs are killing us, eh? I can't get any good bourbon no more. What did you do, eh?" She's going to be like, "It's your problem. You know, he likes me. He doesn't like you at all. So, I don't want to tarnish my relationship with Donald Trump. So I'm going to hang up now." This is how Donald Trump works. This is how Donald Trump negotiates. This is how he plays different sides. Donald Trump goes 100% cutting you off, and then he slowly gives you things back, and then you thank him for it. I mean, think about what's happening here. Donald Trump put a 25% tariff on these people, and they freaked out and they called and they said, "Don't do that, please. Please give us some concession. We have to work this out." And he goes, "Fine, I'll give you another month." And they're like, "Thank you." He's got them thanking him for doing something to basically taking it back to where they were last week. That's how negotiations go. But of course, what does the fake news media say? They say Donald Trump caved. Donald, look at this Drudge Report. I don't even know why I still read this thing. Trump folds on tariffs? Yes, no, yes, no, yes. I'm pretty sure Donald Trump is playing this exactly the way Donald Trump wants to play it. And I'm pretty sure that Donald Trump will come out the victor in the end because, well, that's how Donald Trump always comes out, as the victor in the end. Speaking of the border, I mentioned that there was a contingent of people who went to the border yesterday. You had Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth. You had DNI, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard. You had the Vice President of the United States of America, a man by the name of J.D. Vance. And J.D. Vance said, "You know, I saw something interesting in the helicopter while I was flying down here."
We took the helicopter ride over here, and we saw a big chunk of border wall. And I said, is that the federal government's border wall? And they said, well, it was ordered during the first Trump administration, but Joe Biden wouldn't let us actually build it. Governor Abbott, of course, was the one who actually helped us put a lot of that stuff up. And, of course, that stopped the flow in a pretty profound way. We'll talk a little bit more at the press conference. But as you saw, the president said yesterday, I think it's maybe the most important part of his speech, is that we didn't need new laws to secure the border. We needed a new president. And thank God we have that. I've heard already from a number of the folks that I've talked to in Border Patrol that all we needed to do was empower these guys to do their job. Thank God they have done their job. We're thrilled that they've done it. And now we've seen, I think just in this area, border crossings go from about 1,500 a day to 30 a day. That's simply the President of the United States empowering these professionals to do what they do so well. So,
I mean, think about what he's saying. First of all, there's border wall sitting there and it's not getting, nothing's being done with it. Joe Biden's letting it just rust out there in the desert. And Greg Abbott rolls along and goes, and I'm not saying roll along because he's just a figure of speech. Greg Abbott rolls along and he goes, build this wall. And he uses the material to build the wall. And thank God he did, because now we have it. Then he's saying, look, we came down here and we said to the Border Patrol, what do you need to do to do your job? And they said, oh, we just need to be able to do our job. What does that tell you? It tells you that they didn't need special treatment, special equipment. They just needed someone in a leadership position saying, do your job, please. Instead, they had somebody in a leadership, many people in a leadership position, Joe Biden, Alejandro Mayorkas, border czar Kamala Harris, telling them not to do their jobs, to stand down, saying, okay, you can capture these people, but you have to immediately let them go into the United States of America. And give them a slip of paper and tell them to come back in 6 months and we'll see what happens. That's what they were being told to do. Do you remember Joe Biden there were 2 Border Patrol agents on horseback riding horses, and they had, the leather reins in their hand, because when you ride a horse, you got to have the reins. You got to someone's got to grab the reins or else the horse just goes crazy. And Joe Biden said, oh, they're whipping those immigrant people. We need to take them. They need to be suspended. We're going to put them on suspension while we investigate. And they investigated, and what happened? Well, they were found that they were just riding horses. And they're like, yeah, no poop, Sherlock. We were riding horses. We weren't whipping anybody. We're trying to keep the peace. We're trying to keep you and your constituents safe. And this is how you treat us? The disrespect. Nobody's going to want to do a job when they get treated like that. And law enforcement and Border Patrol agents and all these things. It's like the guy that was at the joint session of Congress. The guy, the cartel started shooting at him and his partner, and he jumped up and he started firing back at a car. These Border Patrol agents, I don't know if he had a rifle, I don't know if he had a handgun, but there's 2 against the cartels. Cartels are using submachine guns. They're using automatic weapons. They're using Uzis. They've got all kinds of stuff over there. I mean, the cartels are no joke, man. They are fully, it's military grade material that they have. They're shooting at our Border Patrol agents, and this guy risks his life to save his partner, and thank God he did, because they both lived. And under Joe Biden, I imagine they both would have been placed on administrative leave pending an investigation. What do you need? You discharged your weapon across the border at cartel members. That could have been it. You could have, no, we don't do that. Here, you're both police under, we're going to go figure out were you whipping them? That's exactly what would have happened. Now you have people in place that are saying, hey, please go do your job and know that you're supported. And if you need anything else, we're going to take care of it for you. And they go, great, we will now go do our sworn duty to protect this country and the Constitution of the United States. It's really simple. Really simple. They met at the border wall as well. And JD Vance said, hey, you know what? We appreciate everybody. Did Joe Biden ever even go to the border? And I know he went to the border and we saw the video of the illegals crossing. I know there was a huge contingent of representatives that went there. Kamala eventually went there after a while. Remember, she'd never been to the border. I've never been to Europe either. And then eventually she went to the border, sort of. But JD Vance is right there. Tulsi Gabbard's right there. Def Hegseth is right there.
The reason why we've seen, as Pete said, a 98% reduction of border crossings, the reason why this particular site has gone from over 1,500 crossings per day to 30 crossings per day is because President Trump has empowered and, in fact, demanded that his whole government take the the task of border control seriously. And that's exactly what we're doing. And of course, and this leads to my final point before we take questions, it is impossible to do without the men and women on the ground who are actually doing the hard work. They just want to be empowered to do their jobs. President Trump has made that possible. So from the bottom of my heart and for a grateful nation, to every person I've met here today, thank you for working hard on the American people's business. It's been an honor to be with you. It's been an honor to see what you do. And we're going to keep on supporting you over the next 4 years.
Yeah, it's just a simple thank you. That's all it is. It's showing up and saying, hey, guys, listen, we know that this for years was a thankless job. We know that this for years was a place where, where you would come to work and not feel respected. We know that for years you would come here and you would wonder, why am I putting my life on the line for a country that a government that obviously doesn't want me to do my job and cares more about the illegal criminals I'm trying to stop than me? And now he's got the leadership, the vice president of the United States, the secretary of defense, the director of national intelligence flying down there. And all of these border patrol agents are finally being seen. We just want to be seen. And that's all it took for us to have this kind of positive effect on our border.
Mr. Vice President, thank you very much for inviting us. It's great to be here with you, with the director, with our fellow friends in civilian clothes and in other shades of green. This is a demonstration of a true partnership on the southern border. As President Trump has made clear on the campaign trail and from day one and last night, border security is national security. And from the Defense Department, we've watched for a couple of decades other people's borders being secured while ours was open for an invasion of drugs and of violence and of chaos for American communities. That stops under President Trump. And the Defense Department has assets that we can bring to bear, not just troops, not just surveillance, not just equipment, but actual planning and capabilities that enhance what Border Patrol is already doing, which is why it's been incredible to hear from our partners about what we've been able to allow them to do, facilitate them, and we've seen it in the numbers. 98% drop in crossings on the southern border. We're not yet at 100% operational control, but we are on our way because that is the mandate that the president has given us. So more resources are coming to this border. We are dedicated to securing it. That's the reason for our trip and our partnership. And I want to thank all the men and women who've been doing it recently in uniform, who have been doing it a long time right here, have dedicated their lives to securing the American people. And at the Defense Department, we are committed to continuing to being a big part of it. So, Mr. Vice President, thanks for having us.
How great, by the way, is the Secretary of Defense in an American flag trucker hat? I mean, that makes me feel secure. I'm like, I like the secretary. I didn't like Lloyd Austin with his glasses and his big mask and his facial covering. What I like a Sec Def.
Mr. Vice President, thank you very much.
I like a Sec Def in a trucker hat with an American flag on it. That to me tells me I'm safe. That guy's gonna protect me, my family, my posterity. Not my posterior, my posterity. Probably both. But that's a guy that, I think everybody in the Defense Department should wear American flag trucker hats, because when the stuff goes down, the guy in the American flag trucker hat is going to take care of beeswax. Really, that's what you want. That's, if I have one lesson in life to tell you, if there's ever you're in a place where a crime's being committed or there's a shooting or you don't know what to do, look for the guy in the American flag trucker cap and hide behind that guy, because that guy's going to take care of business. That guy's going to take care of business for sure. Now, there was a rumor, I guess it was a rumor going around. I'm not sure what it was. There was a rumor going around that Donald Trump was going to sign an executive order today, getting rid of the Department of Education. And this clip started being passed over and over again on X, because this is something Donald Trump promised to do. And it makes sense, because we know Donald Trump wanted to do it, promised to do it, has talked about doing it. We know Doge is all about it. And this was Donald Trump during the campaign, during one of his videos when he released, announcing that the Department of Education is horrible.
And one other thing I'll be doing very early in the administration is closing up the Department of Education in Washington, D.C., and sending all education and education work and needs back to the states. We want them to run the education of our children, because they'll do a much better job of it. You can't do worse. We spend more money per pupil by 3 times than any other nation, and yet we're absolutely at the bottom. We're one of the worst. So you can't do worse. We're going to end education coming out of Washington, D.C. We're going to close it up, all those buildings all over the place, and you have people that in many cases hate our children. We're going to send it all back to the states. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. And that's it. And that was the rumor was that they had a draft order and that he was about to sign it. It seems though like that's not the case. It seems like, well, it may be. Well, you know what? You never know. The Wall Street Journal reported draft order of the Trump executive order aims to eliminate education department. Secretary Linda McMahon would be directed to take all necessary steps to facilitate the move. Now, if that happens, that's actually great news. We're not 100% sure if that is going to happen. I know Donald Trump likes to sign executive orders. He likes to bring in all of the reporters and say, hey guys, come watch me sign executive orders and listen as I wax poetic about all the amazing things that I'm doing. But it would not surprise me if the Department of Education, here we go. Caroline Levitt has reported more fake news. President Trump is not signing an executive order on the Department of Education today. All right. So this doesn't mean that he's not signing the executive order. It just means that he's not doing it today. It may be late. It may be tomorrow. Who knows? The press. Oh, and then there's all these people talking about how she's lying. There's a big back and forth. But look, I mean, eventually it's going to come. Eventually it's going to happen. Eventually Donald Trump is going to. They're going to figure out a way to make sure that every government agency that is wasting money, the waste, fraud, and the abuse, it's all going to come crashing down. Real quick, there's a couple things I forgot to share that I have to share these with you. We were talking about the Democrats and the face of the party and how pathetic they've become. And I just want to, I don't know who runs the social media for the Democrat Party, but they should be fired immediately. This is a video from United States congressional Democrats. It's so bad. And it's it's a choose your fighter video where they have all these women, pretend like they're in Street Fighter video games and they've got their little stats. Choose your fighter. Sully Jessica Wu, mommy of the century. AOC, New York's 14th congressional district. Lauren Underwood, Catherine Clark. By the way, they don't give enough time to read these things. Judy Chu from California. Jasmine Crockett, public defender and attorney, not a morning person. It's so, and they're all bouncing up and down like they're little characters in an action video game. It's just so, and I don't know who they're trying to attract with these kinds of, maybe it's the young men. They heard that they had a problem with young men, that Donald Trump, he went on all the podcasts, he went on Joe Rogan, he's got Barron Trump in his corner, and all the crypto bros, and Donald Trump, I guess they has figured out a way to attract young male voters. So maybe they're like, all right, who are the least appalling physically members of Congress that we have? Let's put them in a video game, and that way we can maybe attract young males, because young males like women in video games. If they had him, like sitting in the basement smoking weed and watching sports, that might be another thing that they could try. They could try next time. But that's their weird attempt at trying to draw back voters. I didn't get it at all. And then this is really funny because we mentioned to you last week that, gosh, I even hate to say it, and I don't want to draw attention to it because I hate to promote this for this guy, but Gavin Newsom has started a new podcast because it's easier. Look, he knows his days as California governor are numbered. He knows he's probably not going to have any kind of higher office. I don't think president is in his future anytime soon. So he started a podcast called This is Gavin Newsom. And instead of talking about things like how bad California is and his plans to fix California and how he's driven his state into the ground, he's interviewing conservatives, and he kicked it off with a bang. He got Charlie Kirk to come to California and have a conversation with him. And this clip that's going around the internet is a great clip because Gavin Newsom is telling Charlie Kirk that his teenage son is a huge fan of Charlie Kirk from TPUSA. Oh, let me start let me actually put the volume on so you can hear it. Here, this is it. Oh no, this is it. This is great. Wait, you should. Oh, wait, hold on. Here it is right here. Take 5.
Last night, trying to put my son to bed. He's like, no, Dad, what time? What time's Charlie going to be here? What time? And I'm like, dude, you're in school tomorrow. He's 13. He's like, no. This morning, wakes up at 6 something. He's like, I'm coming. I'm like, he literally would not leave the house.
Did you let him take off school?
No, he did. Of course not. He's not here for a good reason. But the point is,
you canceled school for like 2 years. One day.
The point is the point, which is you are making a damn dent.
Thank you.
Okay, I love that. First of all, he goes, did you let your kid take off school to come meet me? And he goes, no, he's in school. He goes, Charlie Kirk looks at him and goes, you canceled school for 2 years. What's one more day? I mean, that's fantastic. That's the line of the set. I would listen to this podcast just for that.
When you go to these college campuses, I love watching your TikTok, which is next level. And clearly that's expressed by my 13-year-old son.
I want to meet this guy.
Yeah, I actually...
He's coming to a Turning Point event this summer, Tampa, Florida, Student Action Summit.
I actually am, by the way, if you
should be concerned.
But so let me say, here is why I'm concerned, because you have expressed that I should be concerned as a Democrat, that we're getting clobbered.
Okay. Yes.
That you've figured something out.
It's not me. The president first deserves the credit.
But why? No, hold on. You were at this before Trump was Trump.
No, I know, but
he was a Democrat back in 2011 and 12.
The president deserves huge credit. And I just have to say that as an obligatory thing, because without him, our movement would be small. And you can appreciate that in politics. You have to appreciate the person who is the catalyst.
For you, that's what you sort of attached an identity with.
It was also just the catalyst. It was a cultural moment that just opened us up.
Last night.
I'll be honest with you. I really wish they'd gone more into how horrible the Democrat Party is. But listen to what Gavin Newsom's doing. Gavin Newsom is now publicly praising Charlie Kirk, who didn't just find a conservative movement, but this is a conservative movement that flies in the face of everything that the Democrat Party holds dear. If you've been to a TPUSA event, you know it's not just conservatives. It's Christian conservatives. It's Christian conservatives who are anti the trans agenda, the gay agenda. Do you remember when they tried to plant the Nazis and The View started talking about it? And I mean, these are the cream of the crop when it comes to conservatism. The events are amazing. The kids there are so polite, so well-mannered. They're so well-dressed. They're so knowledgeable. I loved every time I go to a TPUSA event. It's one of the best things it's one of the best ways that I can spend my time. And Charlie Kirk brought this about. He's put it on college campuses everywhere. And clearly it's striking a tone with Gavin Newsom and Gavin Newsom's son. And Gavin Newsom is using his platform to applaud Charlie Kirk and TPUSA. What is going on? Is he abandoning the Democrat? He's going to lose every supporter that he has. Not that I'm complaining about it. It's just really weird. I'm wondering what his motivation is. But when you have Gavin Newsom admitting publicly that his son's a Republican and that Charlie Kirk is doing a good thing, you know that Gavin Newsom's always up to something. That guy is all about self-preservation. He's worried. He's concerned. It appears he's about to bail on his own party. And that's not good news for the Democrats. Amazing news, however, for the rest of us. Look, speaking of amazing news, we had such a great time last night at our Dollars for Followers event where I teach you it's a 60-minute online class where I teach you how to make $1 for every follower you have. If you've ever thought about podcasting yourself like Gavin Newsom does, if you've ever thought about going on social media, not just to make an impact and have influence and get some likes and some thumbs up, but maybe some dollars in your bank account as well, it's possible. In fact, thousands and thousands of people do it every single day. I'm one of them. And now we have this great new program called Dollars for Followers. Make $1 for every follower you have. If you would like to join us next Wednesday, March the 12th at 8 p.m., we will be holding our next 1-hour masterclass. And I'd love for you to be there. It's $17. That's it. And you learn a ton of stuff. We had it last night. I'm going to talk to some of these people. I'm not going to let them, I may bring a couple on to just share with you their experience because so many people loved it and we would love to have you on. I don't think there's a link in the description of this video. Maybe I'll go back and put one in. So if you're watching it at a later date, go look for it. But you can go to dollarsforfollowers.com and you can check it out, dollarsforfollowers.com. In the meantime, make sure you're subscribed. There's breaking news all the time. There's stuff happening all the time. There's videos coming out all the time. There's content all the time. And you need to stay informed. You need to stay entertained. You need to stay inspired. We want your passion to continue to burn. We want you to continue to wake up every single day, just like that woman thinks Donald Trump does, with a mission. I want you to wake up every day and say, I'm so excited to listen to Mark Kaye Saves the Republic. Why? Because he makes me realize that this is a fantastic country. He makes me realize that this is an amazing place to live, that we have opportunity, that our future is bright, that we are in the majority, that those wackadoodles on television and the whack jobs in Congress and those weirdos who threaten the president and sing "We Shall Overcome" from the well of the House of Representatives, they're the minority. They're the weirdos. More people have common sense and good, wholesome values in this country than the opposite. And if we continue to stand up and if we continue to orate and share our stories and talk amongst each other and get together every single day, if you want to spread this message, it's so easy to do. People are always like, Mark, I tried to tell my friend about what you said and I couldn't remember what it was. And I go, don't try to tell them. Just send them the podcast. Just share the video. I've already said it. It resonated with you. You want them to hear it. It's recorded. Don't try to re-say what I say. Just send it out there. And I have people that do every single day. They say, I shared my podcast I shared your podcast rather with my cousin. And now he listens every day. I shared my podcast with my neighbor. And now I hear him, at lunchtime, he's sitting on his back porch listening to you. I shared my podcast with my crazy sister who was a liberal, but now she's coming around. Thank you so much. I say these words, I record these words, and all you have to do is click send and you can share it with whoever you want. And that's how we build momentum. That's how we build the community. That's how we get more Patriots. And the more Patriots we have, the more fighters we're going to have. And the more fighters we're going to have, the easier it's going to be to win. And we're going to need to continue to fight, and we're going to need to continue to win because we want to continue to save the Republic. That was fun today. That was so much fun. Happy Al Green Censure Day. We're going to have an after party, by the way. If you're a member of the Patriot Club, come on in. The party starts in 3 minutes.